Hi there. For today's video, I prepared something special. That is how a chatbot from OpenAI can answer behavioral questions even better than most of us in real time. And of course, if you know one or two tricks on how to use it. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into answering some of the more commonly asked questions in job interviews. This is a free tool, by the way, so it only takes a moment to create an account with them and you're basically good to go. Now, let's just start asking this bot a couple of questions and see how the conversation evolves. So at first, how to answer. Tell me about yourself, your elevator pitch. So it goes with a sample description on how do you go about answering this question. Basically, it's nothing really interesting in the first paragraph, with the general statement. But then, in the tip section, it starts getting more interesting. It starts with a brief introduction, begin with introducing yourself and your current role and career path, and basically these tips start being more useful. Okay, so highlight your skills and qualities. There's also an interesting piece of information. Keep it concise. This I wouldn't necessarily agree. Depends on the candidate, depends on circumstance. About 2-3 minutes long. Yes, that's where most candidates are, but this doesn't mean these are the best answers always. Okay, so practice ahead of time. It's also a good advice. Okay. Overall, the key to answer tell me about yourself is to focus on the aspects of your background experience that are most relevant for the job or situation and to present yourself in a positive. Yeah, all right. So what if you give me an example, okay? And here it starts getting interesting. You see, so basically it starts with the introduction and then it's being a bit more specific, okay? So you see in the second paragraph, in my current role, I have gained experience in skills of responsibility. And then it goes with a slightly motivational aspect of your elevator pitch, but still it's pretty general and vague, and you couldn't really use such an example for real. But still, if we go one step further, an example for a software developer. Okay, so it gives you even more insights, more specifically for your role. And you can see here, while the first statement is pretty general and nothing too fancy, the second statement gives you a couple of clues. I've been responsible for designing and implementing software solutions for a variety of clients, strong problem-solving skills, which is, of course, always nice to have. What I also wanted to highlight here, it's also the collaboration part of this role. So not only it talks about the coding skills, but also about the collaboration, the soft skills, which is, of course, always useful to think about when preparing your elevator pitch. And then again, it goes with the same template, going slightly motivational on the closing statement, which is, fine as an advice. Okay, so what if we took this one step further, like an example for a senior software developer? Let's see how it reacts. Okay, so you see it goes for specific numbers of years of experience in the industry. Okay, so then in the second paragraph, which tends to be more specific, a track record of mentoring and guiding junior developers. Many of you will consider including in your own elevator pitch, and of course the leading of large-scale software projects. So essentially it gives you an introduction of what you'd want to use for your own elevator pitch here. An example for why do you want to work here? Pretty general again as a question, but it's, if not the first, the second most commonly asked question in job interviews. As you can see, we have a couple of examples to the point. I'm excited about the opportunity to work for a company with a strong reputation in the industry, which does work even for high-performing companies. I should say, especially for high-performing companies. Or even the second one is also pretty interesting for many companies. Achieving growth. Yeah, growth is something which also is quite efficient for this. Or I've always been a fan of the company's products and services. Yes, that's also an excellent advice. You see how asking this bot a question, why do you want to work, it gives you useful pointers as to how do you go about answering this. And it really goes to the point when giving you this type of advice. And if you're not happy with the advice, you can simply regenerate the response. Okay, so you are passionate about the company's mission or values. You admire the company's products and services, which is just a rephrase from the previous one, but still it's new information, even if it's packaged slightly differently, but it gives you useful stuff to build your own answers. And I believe it's a great way for you to really dive deeper into each of your questions or each of your stories, as we'll see next, and significantly improve them using this. You are excited about the opportunity to work with a particular team or manager. This is also super interesting. Now, let's go with something more special, some of the more interesting behavioral questions, which not many of you prepare or not many of you know how to answer from the first try. So, how do you answer? Tell me about a time when you failed. Okay, so let's see how it goes. That's why I also said it is an opportunity for the interviewer to learn more about your problem-solving skills and how you handle challenges. Yes, it's fine advice. Here are some tips on answering. Tell me about the time when you failed. So choose a specific example. Yes, that's an excellent advice. Focus on the lessons learned. Yes, that's also excellent advice. Show how you applied those lessons. Keep it brief. It's usually useful advice to try to be more concise, but the main challenge in job interviews is that candidates don't have convincing first answers. So you should start from there. You should be able at first to have 10-minute answers, and then you'd want to trim down the fat from there. But still, keep it brief. It makes sense. Practice ahead of time. Yes, that's also interesting. Okay, what if we ask for an example? So one time I failed when I was working on a project as part of a team at my previous company. We were tasked with developing a new software feature, and I was responsible for a specific part of the implementation. So it remembers we're actually a software developer. I underestimated the task and didn't allocate enough time to complete it. As a result, I ended up failing behind schedule and causing delays for the rest of the team. I learned a few important lessons from this experience. So notice here how it's actually surprisingly good at formulating an answer. And if you look more carefully, half of the answer presents the situation, the task, and the action, and the other half, it's with the learnings. A great example for how to answer this question, tell me about the time when you failed. Now, if I had to bring in some criticism, some constructive criticism to this answer, it's not mentioning when this happened. I was working on a project as part of a team at my previous company. Okay, but what was your role as part of the team? You should be more specific, because if you're not specific, then it might be interpreted that, hey, maybe you are not the main actor in this. Also, this answer could contain a few metrics here and there, but it's pretty well structured, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting. I did a few tests before recording this video, and it gave me far more superficial answers to tell me about the time when you failed. And then I pushed it a bit further, and then it gave me more convincing answers. What if we ask them for tell me about the time when you failed as a PM? Okay, so it starts with one time I failed, one time when I failed. Yeah, it's fine to start this way, but I would recommend to be more specific if possible. But as you can see here, it's a pretty long and it's a pretty convincing first answer. Not many of you will have first convincing answers while starting to prepare for your job interviews, at least. What if we asked for a longer answer? Let's see what it says. So you see, it's an entirely different topic right now. So it's really able to do this on the spot. It really gives you pointers if you're lacking ideas or clarity. Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's considerably longer than the first one, but still I would say it's more characters. With metrics, so notice, it understood that he wants, I want an answer with quantifiable information if possible. So let's see. Yeah, okay, didn't understand this one. So second, it's important to regularly track and analyze key metrics to ensure that your campaigns are on track. With numbers, okay, yeah, so if we ask specifically with numbers, then it says it's gonna go with metrics. It's a great way to significantly improve your performance. And in the star format, okay, so as you can see, it even understands how to give answers to behavior questions in the star format, which, by the way, I know from experience, not everyone knows about the star format while starting to prepare for behavioral interviews. So this is an extra reason this interesting for a sales role. It makes sense. It might not be specific enough for a job interview, but it does give you very interesting bits of information to build your own super strong answers. Now let's try another type of question. How do you answer, what is your management style? Okay, so this is a pretty complex question from experience. So you could go about answering it in many ways. Okay, so it is an opportunity for the interviewer to learn more about your leadership approach and how you work with team members. Yes, yeah, pretty generic advice. Define your management style. Yes, so collaborative, hands-on, or results-driven. Yes, that's useful. Provide specific examples. Yes, discuss your approach to problem solving. Yes, highlight your values. Yes, but pretty generic. Keep it concise. That's with every question. Practice at a time. Yeah, so I'm not too happy about this answer. So what if we ask it to provide this answer in a better way, or try to think of a better answer to this question, to what's your management style? Again, the trick here is to know how to push the algorithm, the AI, to improve your answers. So reflect on your approach, take some time to think about your management style and what approach you take when leading. Consider specific techniques and strategies that you would, yes, highlight your strengths, emphasize the management style that you believe make you a better leader. Yes, yeah, okay. No, I'm still not happy with this one. I think it can still do better, because it doesn't give you any clues on what types of management styles are there and how do you go about them. Okay, so many different methods such as democratic, autocratic, participative, and coaching. Okay, so yes, this is where it gets interesting, and you see it's the third time I asked for an answer, but still it gave me different bits of information. Well, it still gave me interesting bits of information. I suspect it's this in these first two paragraphs, and I'm still able to use this information to build a very strong answer for this. Now, what if we ask for an example? Okay, so as participative. I found this approach helps to foster a sense of ownership and responsibility among team members, which in turn leads to higher levels of engagement and productivity. Yeah, so it's a fine example as a starting point to build your own. But if you remember, even as the algorithm is saying, you have to be specific. Okay, so I believe it was in the previous answers. Yeah, be specific with this, which I know from testing this algorithm. It's not very specific. More specific example. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, as a combination of democratic and coaching. Yeah, so as a side note here, I wouldn't really go all in within a management, which on a specific management style when asked for this question, simply because I know for myself I'm a different type of manager in different types of situations. So I'd rather go with multiple examples highlighting pretty much every management style, as compared to I'm definitely a democratic management. I have a democratic management style, okay? But you can see here it's very efficient at generating examples which make sense. Let's see if it's really specific and usable as a standalone example. In my current role, I have used this management style to successfully lead cross-functional teams on a variety of projects. For example, when I was leading a team of designers on major rebranding projects, I made sure to involve them in the planning and strategy development process and provided them with the support and resources they need to execute on their task. At the same time, set clear goals and expectations. Yes, but it doesn't contain any metrics, any numbers. So hopefully it understands now that it must give me quantifiable information. Yes, so it's pretty much the same example as sales representative, if I'm not mistaken. So as a result, we're able to achieve a 25% increase in sales revenue over a 6-month period. Yes, so it did understand to go with numbers. Let's try to force the star format. Yes, so I believe it took a previous example, one of the previous examples, and it took out the metrics. Longer one? Even though it was 3 paragraphs already, but let's see if it goes with a considerably longer one. Because I would very much advise anyone starting to prepare for this, if you're not familiar with behavioral interviewing and you don't feel like this is a familiar part of your aptitudes, to aim for literally make a brain dump of several pages to answer each and every question, and only then start to get more specific. Yes, so actually it did increase the length of the answer. Okay, and from what I see here, it's also pretty useful information. Okay, so as you can see, it's a very useful tool, which I very much recommend you to use to improve your behavioral interviewing skills. I don't think I'm going to go bankrupt because of this tool, because there's still many tricks which it doesn't know to focus on, and you know, there's a whole lot theory on how to prepare for behavioral interviews, and the technology and this, even though the technology has evolved to answer these questions, is not only about answering questions during these times, but it's also about formulating a story bank, and a story bank is not necessarily formula questions. So anyway, long story short, it's an excellent tool to familiarize yourself with behavioral interviews. And as you can see here, with the right questions, it knows how to give you answers that, in all fairness, are better than 95% of job interview candidates, and I'm including here the high-performing companies. Okay, so hopefully you found my video useful, and thank you very much for watching.